Hello everybody, hope you're having a great day. I'm making homemade chicken and dumplings. I don't guess there's too many things that bring back those memories of a childhood than chicken and dumplings. Let me show you how I make them. They're easy. Well, you start with, of course, a big stew pot, the biggest one you have, and you want to fill it up with regular water, tap water, about halfway. And then you need to get your chicken out. Now I have a small whole chicken. It was the cheapest way to go, but I know a lot of people don't like messing with the whole chicken, but I don't mind. You just clean it out, make sure it's good to go, and put it in the stew pot. And then of course you want to take the time to really wash your hands well, soap and water, and I want to go ahead and show that just so you see it. And then we take the stew pot over to the stove. And we want to get that fire going about medium high. I don't like to boil the chicken vigorously. I like a nice gentle boil, so about a medium high heat. So we'll get that going, put some salt and pepper in, and then we're going to work on some vegetables. I have one stalk of celery. I'm going to dice that up just like that. Get that in the stew pot. And then I have a red onion, just because that's what I happen to have, a red one. Any onion will do. I'm going to use half of this onion and get that cooking as well. Get that in and let it boil. And then I'm going to add some garlic powder, about a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half, and then some chicken bouillon powder. And I'm going to put in about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half. I didn't measure it with a measuring spoon, but that's about what it is. Now as this continues to boil, a gentle boil, and a gentle boil is a boil that doesn't splash out as it's boiling. And you want to turn that chicken over about every 15 minutes until it starts to get tender and you can pull it apart. And of course the goal here is to get the chicken nice and tender enough to just fall apart. And so that's been gently boiling for quite some time now, maybe about an hour to an hour and a half. And now I'm going to take it all out of the pot and into a separate bowl, because when it cools enough, I'm going to separate all the meat, take all the skin off, take all the bones out, and just have the meat. Now I'm going to take this liquid over to the sink where I'm going to strain it. Now, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to strain out the vegetables. Now all that flavor is still going to remain in the stock, but I'm going to go ahead and take it out. And this is just personal preference. If you like to leave the onions in, leave them in. Put that stock back in the stew pot, and back to the stove we go to get it back on the heat. Well, now it's time to start working on the dumplings. I'm going to use self-rising flour, 4 cups of self-rising flour. Now if you don't have self-rising flour, you can just add a little salt and about a teaspoon of baking powder per cup. I'm also going to add extra baking powder, even though this is self-rising. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder to this self-rising flour. And then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of coarse ground black pepper, just like that, and a tablespoon of that same chicken bouillon powder into the mix. And then you want to get a whisk and really stir it up well. Next comes the Crisco. I like to use Crisco for dumplings. And I'm not going to use a measuring cup, but I'm going to put in about a half a cup of Crisco. You can see the amount that's going in. I'd say that's about half a cup. And then you want to begin to work it with your hands. Just squeeze it, and it's like trying to squeeze the flour into the Crisco. And you're separating it and squeezing it. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit, but I do want you to see it. Get both hands in there, and you want to bring the flour from the bottom and get them all mixed together, all combined with the Crisco. It gets kind of crumbly, and you can see it. It changes the texture just a little bit. And once you get that done, you want to make a well in the center, because now it's time for the liquid. I have 2 cups of regular whole milk, or we used to call it sweet milk, I'm going to put about 1 cup in and get started. Get this combined. Just gently stir. I want to show you how we do it. Add a little bit more. That's about 1½ cup, I would say. Stir it together like this, gently, gently. And add just a little bit more. That's about 1¾ cup milk that I've put in. And that looks about right. And now we're going to start working with our hands. You kind of work it like you're making biscuits. And start turning it over, getting it together, slowly bringing it together, and then I'm going to go ahead and dump it out on the board. And you can see it's not all combined. There's still a lot of flour left. We're going to just let this, the moisture in the dough, pick up the amount of flour that it wants. And so we just kind of gently begin to turn it and press it together. I don't want to work it too much. So you can see I'm just gently turning it over, pushing it down, working it with my hands, folding it over. This is just my personal preference. And talking about preference, if you grew up eating chicken and dumplings, then you like dumplings the way you grew up eating them. Dumplings are individual things, and you can cook them different ways. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. And so if the way I cook them isn't the way you like them, I understand. You don't really need to tell me in the comments that you like them another way. This is just the way I do them. And I know that there are different ways to make them. But I'm just showing you my way. Once you get that pressed out, get a knife and you want to start cutting the dumplings. And I cut them about the width of a domino. Going one way and then coming back the other way is the best way I can describe it. I didn't measure them, but they just look like about the width of a domino. And so we just cut them like this and get them in little sections. You can do it the way you want to. Now I'm going to put them on a plate and get them ready to put in the pot. Now some people just pull them apart. Just whatever you like to do. This is the way I do it. Now you can see it's still a nice gentle boil. Again, gentle meaning that it's not splashing out while it's boiling, but it is boiling. And you begin to just put them in, drop them in one at a time, and you want to go as quickly as you can. Just ease them in, and then once the top gets filled like that, you have to kind of make room in the pool. You push them down, make sure they get covered with liquid, and then push them over and keep putting the dumplings in. Just putting them in the sides like that. And once you get them all in, you gently push them down. You don't stir. You never stir your dumplings. Gently push them down and make sure they're covered with that wonderful stock. It's delicious. Easy, easy. And give them a chance for the stock to come back to a nice boil. You can see it's boiling. Now we're going to add the chicken back in. I've got it all separated. This is just meat now. And we want to put it right. I put it right in the center and then gently push it down. Gently push it down. Just like that. Now of course this chicken has caused the pot to stop boiling. We get them covered up like that, and then what you're waiting for, the pot to come back to a boil. And then when it gets back to a good boil like that, just turn the heat off. And you want to let them set, and they're done. And in about 15 minutes, I'd say at least let them set 15 minutes. A little longer is better. You can eat them. And so let's dish some up, and let me let you have a look at these chicken and dumplings. Homemade chicken and dumplings. Oh man, they're delicious. And here we go. Take a look at that. Nice and tender. This is the way I like dumplings. Fluffy. I don't mind eating the flat ones. They're okay, but if I have my preference, I like mine fluffy like that. And the chicken super tender, and a nice, delicious, creamy stock. Oh man, yeah, chicken and dumplings, homemade. I hope you give these a try. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you do, hit that share button. Anyway, I enjoyed cooking these and enjoyed eating them. Delicious chicken and dumplings. Hey, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye now.